Let me turn off the music. Okay. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. So, we are here today to help you with some of your grant questions, concerns, and to give some advice as you go into the last week of your application cycle for LCH and CI Round 1. Um, I am Valentino Rutia. I'm the grants coordinator here at Houston Arts Alliance. I will be one of your hostess with the mostest, and this is my colleague.
Hi everyone, it's Andrea. I'm the grants compliance specialist here on the team. I kind of do a little bit of everything, help y'all with the applications through the entire process from when before application submission till afterwards when notifications are given out, and for all the required paperwork for awards, and then at the end of the cycle when it comes to final reporting. And everybody else here on the team, if y'all have any questions throughout the entire process, we are here to help and here for y'all.
Thanks, Andrea. We also have a special guest who is going to introduce himself for the first time.
Hi, everyone. Oh my God, it's lighting. But yes, my name is Braden. I'm the grants intern. I work on grant stuff, panel stuff as well. I kind of have my hand in many situations. But so I'm sure if y'all have been panelists or grantees already, you've probably seen emails from me. But yes, so I'll be continuing through the summer to help y'all with things as needed. But yes, just wanted to say hello.
Okay, thanks, Braden. No, he has been amazing since joining. He's hit about a month now, I believe. 3 months.
February was the start.
Oh, okay. The year has gone by really quick. But he's been doing great since he started. Just goes to show how quickly time passes by. So we're going to set a couple of the expectations for this particular Instagram Live. One of them is simply going to be that you can ask any questions at any time that you would like, and we are here to answer them for you. As we wait for those questions to come in and for particular people to drop it in chat, we're also just going to talk about the general updates that have been going on, things to be aware about, and every other thing grants related as it pertains to the Houston Arts Alliance. So amazing. So one of the first things that we are going to remind you about is that we do have our final workshop for Creativity Happening in Cities initiative happening this upcoming Saturday. We wanted to expand outreach and let people come to us in a time that's probably more convenient. So we are hosting what we call a grants lab from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. this upcoming Saturday. There are still slots open, so if you navigate to the Houston Arts Alliance website and go to workshops and grants opportunities, you can also reserve a spot so that we can talk about your ideas, do a quick review of your application, and any other questions that you might have before we go into that final deadline this upcoming week.
Yes, and the deadline for both grants is next Tuesday, April 21st at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. The application will close after that, and we do not accept any late submissions, unfortunately. So we recommend that you all submit it at least 24 hours in advance. Also, that Tuesday, April 21st, the grants team will only be available for any technical questions by that date, actually next week. So this week and up until this Saturday will be the last week that we can help with any application reviews or just general questions. Next Monday and Tuesday will only be reserved for any tech issues, navigating the portal, stuff like that. We'll be happy to help. Or if you run into any errors, please call us or email us. We'll be monitoring that next week ahead of the deadline. So we mentioned that both grants are open. So the first one is Let Creativity Happen, is for awards up to $2,500 for projects that amplify artistic creativity and innovation taking place within the city of Houston. So this grant is designed to encourage artists and creative individuals and also organizations to take some creative risks that normally y'all don't take or just want to try out, that also may not qualify for the traditional funding opportunities. So if there's something that you wanted to try out, or you're just missing a little bit of funding for your already a project that's already in place, Let Creativity Happen might be a good option for you.
Yeah, and it also happens to be just one of like the friendliest grants.
Mhm.
It's on the shorter side as opposed to our other 4 grant offerings, and it's a great way to like dip your feet into what Houston Arts Alliance has to offer. It helps you like recognize the Smart Simple system, helps you get acquainted with like basic eligibility rules, and if you're just a little bit too afraid to apply for like a $15,000 grant and you'd rather start off a little bit smaller, this is precisely the one. Also, from like a statistical standpoint, you are more likely to get a Let Creativity Happen grant than you are some of our other offerings, and that's just based on the amount of awards that we're able to give out. So we always like to say that LCH, Let Creativity Happen, is the friendliest grant that you can apply to, and it also has some of the most flexibility as opposed to the other grants. The only one rivaling its flexibility really being the support for artists and creative individuals that opens up later in the summer. The other grant that we wanted to talk to you all about was going to be the Cities Initiative grant. And let me pause for a second because I do see a couple of questions coming up. One of them is from Ray, and the question was, do you guys award grants for artists who want to manifest more personal projects? Yes, and. So we think that a lot of the artistry and creativity that is fostered in the city of Houston comes from a very personal space, and that they can have personal meaning for the artists. But with that personal meaning and that personal endeavor that you want to take, you are going to have that open for the public. So most of our grants function in a public presentation format where whatever you're being funded for, it has to culminate in something that is available to the general city of Houston, whether that's like kids, adults, students, fellow artists, tourists is a big one. So yes, we do award grants for artists who want to manifest more personal projects or for artists who want to collaborate with others and what have you. And I'll let Andrea take that next question.
Yes, so this next question is from Frame Dance. Can you share more about CI and how the different rounds differ? Great question. So this year is a little different from previous years in that if you have been with HAA or have received grants before for Cities Initiative, we used to have, well, we always have 3 rounds, but in the past we've had, depending on which round you apply for, there's a funding area. So it's like a subsection of the bigger Cities Initiative grant where you could request for more than the 10,000 maximum award. However, this year we are no longer accepting like increased requests. So the grant is capped at 10,000 for all rounds and for all funding areas. So this year, all rounds of Cities Initiative are the same. All the funding areas are available. And I can give a quick overview of the funding areas. And this is also outlined in our guidelines in more details. But a quick overview is art, and the first funding area is art and disaster resilience awareness. So that one is that the project should center around art and the natural disasters that affect Houston specifically. The second one is art and neighborhood cultural destinations. So for that one, the project must center around a specific neighborhood in Houston, and also like engage the communities of that neighborhood and kind of highlight its importance within Houston, and all that. Of course, blending art in some way, and it can be any artistic medium, but it has to specifically talk about a neighborhood in Houston and highlight it. And the last one is art and conference and tourism. And for that one, the project itself either has to be a conference or you all need to partner with a conference that is coming into Houston, and the project has to align with the same themes and topics of that conference, and again, blending art in some way. So if you apply to Cities Initiative, the project must fit within one of the 3 funding areas, and all funding areas are available for all rounds. So yeah, that's kind of a summarized overview of CI.
Yes, Nick was a really good one. And it goes to show that there's not real differences amongst the city's initiative rounds anymore. They're pretty much standard. So if you're afraid of missing the first round of city's initiative or like creativity happen, there's still 2 more rounds that are going to happen throughout the year. And if you navigate to our website, those are all up for the entire year, whether it's the round 2, round 3, or the annual grant programs are now posted. So feel free to navigate to HoustonArtsAlliance.com and you can go under workshops and grant opportunities to see that. This is also a great time to mention that this little QR code up here, if you scan it, if you're on a laptop or if you want to just navigate towards it, it has a link tree to all of the pertinent information from guidelines to our newsletter, to our workshops, and anything else that you may need as you navigate our grants program. Let's see. Nikki Davis, they work in Houston mostly. We also mostly work in Houston. And this is actually a great time to talk about an eligibility point where if you are applying to our grants, you have to be within the City of Houston limits. And by City of Houston limits, I mean City of Houston limits as defined by the Who is My City Council Member tool that the City of Houston has provided for us. You can find that in our guidelines, on our website, and in our application. So before you fully commit to filling out the application, I highly recommend that you type in the address that you're going to be working from into that Who is My City Council Member tool. Make sure that you're inside a service area and make sure that you do have a city council member, because these grants are coming from HOT funds, which is the hotel occupancy tax dollars. And so it's tourism that comes that generates the funds for these grants, and therefore those grants should also be generating some sort of tourism. And so it has to happen within the City of Houston lines. So I highly recommend that you check that out. Also, we see that Gilberto said, hey guys. Hi, Gilberto. Nice to see you. I like the fire and the stars. And then if you want to answer Alvaro's.
Yes. Alvaro asked, I would like to apply. We have a foundation of orchestras and choir. Yes. So if you are applying as an organization, you all have to have nonprofit status with the IRS. So as long as you have that and have an established EIN number that we can verify, documentation to support it, and also have headquarters within the City of Houston limits, so within a Houston City Council district, then you are eligible to apply. Because yes, within the application for everybody who applies, we request proof of residency and headquarters within the City of Houston. And for individuals, you all have to be 18 years of age or older and have supporting documentation current from this calendar year. We can't accept things from previous calendar years or documents that are expired. So yeah, as long as you are a 501c3 nonprofit and are within a council district, well, the organization has an associated address within a council district, then you are eligible to apply.
Amazing. That was a great way to answer the question. I also see one of our grantees in here, B Girl City Worldwide. Can we reapply if we rewarded the prior year? Absolutely. So the fun thing about our grants is that you can apply to them every single year, even if you were awarded the previous year. Of course, there are some stipulations regarding individual grants about funding the same project twice, funding annual programming, and etc. But in essence, and this is better explained in the guidelines in the new version of them, every single individual / organizational applicant can get up to 3 awards per year. And that's better explained again in those guidelines. So I highly recommend that you go into the LCH and CI guidelines, open it up, and see how you can get funding. But yes, if you have been awarded in the previous year and the last 2 years, you can definitely submit an application to see if you can get awarded for another project. And we also recommend it. Like if you have a project in mind, if you have like this passion, please, please, please apply to our grants. And we would love to continue working with you.
All right, we got another question from Nandini. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Does Art Alliance fund art project, which is a part of bigger park project? If yes, what are grants we should look into? Okay, let me see if I can answer this question to the best of my abilities. A bigger park project. I'm not sure I fully understand that. Like, do you mean if it's like already a park that is like being built or renovated, or the park is putting on something? So first, I guess I'll wait for the answer for that. I think the issue can potentially come when they are another HAA grant recipient, because it gets into what we call double dipping, and that's unfortunately not allowed because hot funds and grant funds can only be allocated towards one project. Two sources of HAA funding or two separate HAA grants cannot be allocated to the same project. So as long as they are also not being funded by HAA or Miller Outdoor Theater, because they also receive hot funds, which is the same as our grant funds, then there should not be an issue. And I should also add that the project is taking place within the city of Houston limits, because grant funds cannot be allocated towards activities or locations that are not within a council district. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. So I don't know if I answered this. If yes, what are grants we should look into? So it really depends what the project is. Cities Initiative has all of those kind of restrictions that we talked about, that it must fit within one of those three funding areas. So if it doesn't fit within a funding area easily, then really any of the other grants available, again, it just depends what the project is. The only grant, or I guess it depends. If you're an individual artist, you are eligible for the individual artist grant. But if not, then you would not be able to apply to that one. And on the flip side, for support for organizations, that is only available for organizations and not individuals. So yeah, I hope that answered the questions. If not, happy to give more details or answer more detailed questions.
Yeah, again, feel free to drop more context or more questions down there, Nandini. And same thing for everyone. Like, this is definitely a Q&A session where we're sitting here so that you can get real-time support on anything grants related, whether you're currently applying, have applied, or a grantee and whatnot. This is just an easy way for you to have access to two members of the grant staff. Though, if you need additional help, feel free to call us, email us, send us a Zendesk ticket. Smoke signals, like, they all truly work for us. And with that, feel free to keep dropping comments below. And as we scroll down through them, we'll be reading them. And if we don't have comments, we'll just keep going into like some general things to keep in mind in the upcoming week and days before you have to submit everything. So this one was submitted by September. The question is, do you all do artist residencies? So we do not do artist residencies here at HAA. I know that we have heard of different organizations that, I don't want to say collaborate with, but different organizations that we fund that do artist residencies. So you might want to take a peek at our grantee page on our website to see if other organizations pique your interest and if they have their own artist residency programs. But Houston Arts Alliance does not currently. Oh, please email us about this festival opportunity to speak to the community. We're definitely not opposed to it. It's just a matter of capacity and timing for us, especially with the closing coming up this upcoming Tuesday. So please feel free to just email us at the grants@haatx.com email, and I'm more or less the person who does coordinate all of that. So email us, and if the stars align, we definitely are not opposed to coming out to speak to the community. I'm also dropping that email in chat for anyone to have on standby. And Andrea, I'll let you take this next one.
Yes. Carrot Desire put in the chat. Good afternoon. My name is Philandra Stovall from Ziggy Champion Kids nonprofit organization. Do you all work with or give grants to other nonprofit organizations to do organization murals? So, yes, as long as you are, again, a nonprofit that has headquarters within the city of Houston, you are eligible for a grant as long as the project that you are putting on is open to the public and has art. And is like an arts or culture based project in some way. We can't fund like private projects or just for like educational purposes. But yeah, if it's like an open, like public mural that you all want to work on and like have like an opening of, that is something that is eligible for our grants. We see mural projects come in every year. So yeah, you would just have to submit an application, a proposal for that mural, and you'll have to just go through the process. HAA kind of acts as a like facilitator of these grant funds. We don't directly like partner or collaborate with other nonprofits. We're like a third party organization that facilitates and offers these grant programs. Yeah, that are basically public funds from the city that we have kind of morphed into these different grants programs that we offer throughout the year.
Okay. That was great.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, that was great.
Yeah.
I'm also just like reading through the comments as
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
coming in, so I might get slightly like distracted.
Fine.
But this is a question from Marls Barles. I don't know if I said that correctly, but this person wrote, I'm an independent artist trying to share the knowledge of sewing / upcycling design with people of color. Which grant should I apply to? I am like greedy and I love telling people that they should apply to all of our grants. If you have the capacity, the time, and different projects for it, you should definitely be applying to every grant available to you. As an individual artist, that would mean that you are probably best fitted for like Creativity Happen, city's initiative, and the Support for Artists and Creative Individuals grant. You can apply to all three and potentially be awarded all three, so long as they're different projects and so long as there's no double dipping of funds. That being said, I don't have enough information to really guide you in one direction or the other. But we definitely can work with an artist who focuses on sewing and upcycling, and you're actually not the first who's done this type of project. So from experience, we've seen these come through. We love them. And you have 3 very easy options to apply to, but with like a little bit more refinement and a little bit more direction, we can definitely continue speaking with you about it. And you're welcome. Yes, we'll be awaiting your email to talk about that festival setup.
Right. We have another question coming through. What if our organization runs programs in Houston and has program participants that live in Houston, but our organization operates remotely, no headquarters? That is a good question. So we don't expect or require organizations to have like a physical office building or something like that. However, the organization must have an associated address. We unfortunately do not accept PO boxes, so it has to be a physical address, whether that's a physical office or building or a residential space. That is up to you. However, there has to be an address that is associated with the organization that is within a council district for us to verify that headquarter requirement. This is one of the first requirements that the staff reviews for eligibility. So unfortunately, that is something that like we cannot like go around. So yeah, as long as you have that proof, the document has to be from like a third party organization that sends something to you all, or it has to be a lease with the name of the organization. But yeah, we just have to have that proof because it's required in our contract with the city that all applicants have headquarters within Houston. But again, it doesn't have to be a physical building. It can be a residential address. It just has to be a physical address. It can't be a PO box address.
Yes, and that documentation that you end up submitting into the grants portal, it has to be dated within the 2026 year. It has to have the name of the organization and it has to have the address. Like that piece of paper must have all three for us to like move forward with it. So like Andrea said, so long as there is like a physical location that's associated with that, that's within the city of Houston limits, you're all good to go. We especially know this to be true after COVID-19, when a lot of organizations operated from like a remote position, and there wasn't necessarily like a convening space. So you should be all good. We also recommend that if you are a little bit unsure about like that residential, like proof of headquarters or proof of residence, email it to us so that we can look at it and we can let you know like, hey, this is totally cool, submit it, or hey, it's missing this thing, let's try another document. So we're pretty user friendly. You can use this from like start to finish for this process, and we're more than happy to do it. And we're pretty responsive. Like we're very quick with our replies for the most part, unless it's like a super busy period. Then you can expect like a 1 to like 3 business day response time, but we're pretty quick with it overall. Nandini sent up a follow-up message saying the park has art elements. It's a new park.
Okay.
That's amazing, and it sounds like you want to like collaborate with that to include more artistic elements. Truly, as long as you as the individual artist are trying to do something that has a public facing aspect to it, like some sort of public performance or engagement, that's what truly matters. I do kind of want to emphasize with mural projects that it becomes a little bit more difficult to have that like public presentation. Like you can create the mural and then host like a Q&A with it, or you can create a mural and host some sort of like festivity associated with it, or like a workshop about the mural, or engage the public in creating the mural. But I do very much want to emphasize that the creation of an art piece or the uploading of an art piece on social media will not suffice for the public engagement or like the public presentation component. It has to be live. It does have to engage the public. And so that's my only other concern as we talk about this project. Like, we love murals, we live for them, and also try and think about how you're going to incorporate like that final eligibility requirement to continue to move forward in that process.
But thank you, Nandini, for following up. We have another question. Or Carrot Desire added, I would love my nonprofit organization to work with artists on project. Yes, we support that. And as Val kind of mentioned earlier, we have, while we don't like directly connect people or like collaborate directly with artists or organization, all of our grantees are on our grantee page on our website. So those lists of grantees are public. So if any organizations or other artists want to find people to collaborate or work with, that list is available on our website with the names of the individual artists and organizations.
Also, guys, we seem to have a special guest join us. He just came out of a meeting and he's coming to say hi.
Oh. Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Quang, the director of grants here at Houston Arts Alliance. Just wanted to pop in and say hi. You guys are in great hands. So I'm going to turn it back to them.
Thank you, Quang. Okay, perfect, Sion. He's a very busy man, so we're glad he came by to say hi. Okay, so let's see. You already answered the are your grants available to artists?
I did not.
Okay, let that be yours.
Somebody asked, are our grants available to artists living in Galveston? So unfortunately, they are not. Although I would recommend to everyone to use that council member search tool that Val talked about earlier. If you also just type into Google or any search engine, who is my Houston City Council member? That first link will take you directly to the Houston City Council map. Type in all your address, not just a zip code, be as specific as possible so that it can let you know if you're located within a council district. But yeah, unfortunately for Galveston, I do not believe it is eligible. But I'm sure, or let me not say yay or nay, but I would look into what the Galveston area and city has to offer those art opportunities. They may have some other resources for you.
Yes, and maybe the other thing I want to add, since I know that the question following it is also asking about Katie artist eligible for grants. The other way that you can potentially be eligible is if you have a studio space within the city of Houston limits. So if you have like a studio space that you rent out and that you do your artwork in, that can also be another way that individual artists can become eligible. So it doesn't have to be your residential address. It can also be a studio space within the city of Houston limits. So that's like the key point we want to drive home, like within city of Houston limits. So if you do have a studio space, then you do become eligible to apply for our grants. But we would also have to ask you for proof of that studio rental within the 2026 year, and also check that who is my city council member tool. And again, guys, feel free to keep dropping questions. We are maybe going to go until 4:40, maybe a little bit over that, like 4:45, 4:50, but we are coming down to the last couple of minutes. I will be live to answer all of your questions. And if you have any questions, or if you log off and you think that you wanted something else answered, again, we are here from like 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And you can always contact us and we'll still answer all of your questions. So let's see. Sorry if you answered and I missed it. My question is, if you're awarded an LCH grant this cycle, when will you be notified? So for the first cycle, and we have not answered this yet, this is amazing. I love that you're manifesting this for yourself. You would be notified a few weeks before the start of August. So when you apply for the cycle of Let Creativity Happen, your grant term would start August 1st of 2026 and will go all the way until August 1st of 2027, which means that we would be notifying you a few weeks prior to the beginning of your grant term. So that would be the expected period. So it takes us a while to like review for eligibility and go through the entire adjudication process. But like, let's say late July, early August is when you would get notified if you do in fact receive the Let Creativity Happen grant. And same thing if you were for whatever reason declined. All notifications go out at the exact same time, and that's when you'll know of the status.
Yes, so usually notifications are sent out for, regardless of what the results are, everybody who applies will receive a notification email from us letting them know what the results are for your specific application. And they usually are sent out close to the start of the respective grant term for all rounds. And those grant terms are listed on the website and in the application and in the guidelines. So yes, I was also going to add that because we talked about the public presentation earlier, the public presentation must take place within the grant term. It can't happen beforehand or outside of the grant term because the grant funds are awarded for activities that take place within that grant term. So as y'all are like deciding when the public presentation is going to be, writing out the timeline, keep in mind what the grant term is for each grant program that you apply to. The next question, from Sybil Joy. We are a 501c3 org, but don't have a brick and mortar. We use a PO box in Houston. Does that count as residing in Houston? So unfortunately, we do not accept PO boxes as proof of headquarters or residencies. It would, if for the 501c3 organization, you would have to pick, someone from the organization to have that has like a physical address in Houston for that to be the associated address of the organization. Because we do not accept PO boxes. It has to be a physical address. If it's not an office space, it can be a residential space of someone in the organization. And the name of the organization has to be present on that document. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Nandini, I would like to email and provide more context. Please do that. grants@haatx.com. Email is good to go and monitored by most of the members on our staff. Yes, I would like to open it to the public. Absolutely. So that seems like you're going to be eligible and good to go on that project. And again, we'd love to talk more about how you do that. Because we also are pretty good soundboards for some of the things that y'all might be saying. Because sometimes it's easy to like think of it upstairs and kind of visualize it, but it doesn't always translate exactly how you want it to on paper. And you want it to translate well because ultimately it's going to be a group of like your peers and community members reading it, and you're not there to provide that context for them. So we would love to hear more about it. Your question was answered already. Amazing. Thank y'all for joining.
Yes.
I will be applying on behalf of the public organization. Yes, you can totally apply on behalf of a public organization. That organization would have to have 501c3 status, and you would have to be applying as the organization. But if you are the individual artist collaborating with that organization, you'd apply as, like, in this case, I'm not sure if this is your name, but you would be applying as Nandini, the individual artist collaborating with said organization. So have that distinction clear when applying, so that there's not confusion and that so you don't become ineligible. But I might also just include that with the email you're sending us anyways, so that we can definitely clarify that for you and just walk you through that process.
All right, we have another question. Studio Code HTX. I've been having issues getting past the first page of the application. I answered all the questions. Okay, thank you for bringing this up to us. Our application has been updated from past years. Sometimes our system can be a little finicky. Usually when, like, the only time it won't let you continue to the next page is if you press submit. If you keep saving, like if you keep clicking save draft, it should let you move forward. So I would say click save draft, refresh the page, or maybe log in, log out. Sometimes resetting it helps. Or if you are getting an error message, even when clicking save draft, please email us and have a screenshot of your page so that we can help you navigate it and make sure you can keep filling everything out. Also, sometimes if the profile is not all filled out, sometimes that maybe doesn't translate to the application and might cause it to not move forward. So make sure that your individual or organization profile is completely filled out, as it does take some of that information and auto-populates it in the application. So yeah, I would say try those two. And then if you still have some issues, just email us or give us a call, and we can help you keep filling out the application.
Amazing.
I see there's a follow-up question from the same people. Are there any known glitches or errors going on with the application? Currently, there aren't any. We had some errors a few weeks ago when it first opened, but not right now unless you let us know. So yeah, if you are, like I said, if you're receiving an error message or if something is glitching, please send us an email or call us so that we can help you out with that.
Yes, yes. And then another user asked us, can you reimburse any cost incurred before the grant start if you've already started working on the project? So no. The grant can only cover costs that happened within the grant term. So it would have to be from like the start date and end date that's listed on your contract. We totally understand if some of your project has already happened and that you paid it out of pocket. That's perfectly fine, and you can continue that with the grant, but you cannot reimburse yourself for anything that's happened prior to the grant term. Something that does kind of happen with our grants is that you get 80% upfront when you sign your contract and you turn in all of your financial forms, and you get the remaining 20 after you've completed your project. So in that sense, there would be some sort of reimbursement that occurs, but again, that's within the grant term, not outside of it. So the answer to that is no, you can't reimburse anything incurred prior to the grant start. So I would try and create a timeline that fits within the grant term so that you're able to fully cover that with minimal out-of-pocket expenses.
Nandini, awesome. We look forward to your email and helping you out. Another question. I would like to speak with someone to go over what programs Ziggy Champion Kids have, which are a great fit for each of the grants. Yes, we would love to help you out. As we mentioned earlier in this live, but we'll mention it again. We have our final grants workshop this Saturday, April 18th, where we can help y'all with any like application reviews, talk about the programs and projects you're thinking about to kind of steer you all towards which grant would be a good fit. So if you go to our website to sign up, there's a link to sign up for that grants lab. There's still slots. It'll be via Zoom, and you'll be meeting with one member of the grants team to talk through your projects and all the questions that you have. There's still times open for this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So yeah, definitely recommend that you sign up for that so that we can talk with you and help you out.
Perfect. Okay, cool. So it seems like we've answered most every question that we've gotten through this entire live. Um, I do highly recommend that you ask your final questions as we near the end of this live. We'll be logging off rather shortly, but if there's any like final thoughts, questions, concerns, please feel free to ask them. Otherwise, we do have that grants workshop that Andrea mentioned this upcoming Saturday. We did check and there's still slots open. They're like 15, 20-minute slots where you can engage one-on-one with a member of the grant staff. Everyone is just as nice and knowledgeable as we are, so we highly recommend that y'all show up. We will be highly caffeinated, which makes us even better resources for you on that day. And final reminders, our grants will be closing Tuesday, April 21st at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. We have our final workshop this upcoming Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You feel free to sign up using the HoustonArtsAlliance.com workshop/grant opportunities page. And finally, for any additional resources, feel free to look up at this corner of the screen. That is our grants department link tree. We use that on a day-to-day basis. So if we're able to use it and navigate a bunch of the resources we use, we think that it's really great resource for y'all as well. And yeah, so we'll stay on for a few more minutes, maybe until 4:45, answering any questions. And also let us know if you enjoyed this format. We'll be doing a couple more of these Instagram, Facebook, YouTube lives for the upcoming cycles, more in-person interaction workshops with you all. And thank y'all for joining us. It's been a really fun Wednesday.
Yes, thanks Val for that recap and reminder of deadlines. And I would also just like to add that if you miss this first deadline, or if you're not too sure and want to work on your application or ideas a bit more, do not fret. This is the first opportunity this year, and we'll have more opportunities throughout the year. The second one coming up mid to end of May. So that one is closer than we think. Then we have our annual grants that open in the summer. And then our final round of LCH and CI that opens at the end of August. So this is just the first opportunity this year of many. So yeah, those are available. And we are also available to help at any part of the process. Yeah.
Okay.
That's all.
I think
Yeah.
I think that is all. And I didn't see any more questions come through, truly. So again, it was such a joy to be with you. My name is Valentino Rutia. I typically go by Val, and I'm the grants coordinator on the staff. It's been really great being your hostess with the mostest.
Yes, this was Andrea, the grants compliance specialist. Thank you all for joining us today. It was great to talk to you all and help you all with the questions.
Okay, so have a wonderful Wednesday, and we'll see some of y'all in our inbox and on Saturday. Have a great one.